I think the last time we had Tina. I know a lot of you have watched. I think we had over like 200 views. A lot of you have gone to watch the video. I've seen people actually putting it into practice. That's a good thing. Today we're having Tina again. Um, yeah, I didn't want to disturb her, but like I said, she's someone that's very committed. When she says she's going to show up, she's going to show up. So a round of applause. Let's welcome Tina. She's going to be taking us the power of sharing your work. It's going to be a 1 hour class. So if the once she's done, we will start our own SQL and stop. I'm 1 hour behind, so I still have time. I'm supposed to be somewhere by 12 o'clock. So I will still have about 1 hour for my own side to take you guys. So please let's all welcome Tina. Let's show our appreciation with our emojis. Thank you, Tina, for having us. Thank you for coming again. Like this is a different kind of love for her to come again. You know, I'm telling you because we took almost more than 3 hours of our time the last time, and she's here again to share knowledge with us. So welcome, Tina. Thank you so much for coming again to the team. We're very grateful.
Thank you so much for having me, Faith. I'm actually super excited to be here. I had a very great time the last time I was here. I think we talked about visualizations, and that's actually one of my favorite topic when it comes to analysis and everything. So it was really exciting. I'm sure a lot of us benefited from that. So I think the energy was what made me to come back. So I just wanted to, and something that we're talking about today is also something that I'm actually very, very passionate about. In fact, if you know me online, I call myself a noisemaker. And I'm an advocate for showing your work. I'm an advocate for building in public. So I wanted to actually be here to talk about this. We're not going to take a lot of time. At most 30 minutes, we should be done, and then we'll take questions. So it's not going to be as long um, as the last class. Please pardon me. I didn't really prepare any slide because I wasn't really sure about the dates again, and I didn't reach out to Faith on time. So please pardon me, but I would still like to share a couple of things with us before time goes out. So just a brief introduction for those that do not know me. My name is Tina Okonkwo, and I'm a data analyst. I'm also a Microsoft certified professional, and I have over 3 years experience working across professional experience across several industries. But I've been working with data for the past year. I've been in tech for the past 1 year. I'm also an advocate for building in public, sharing your story online. And for me, my goal is to help others kickstart their career in data analytics. I'm also a trainer. I tutor people in courses like Power BI, data visualization, as well as storytelling with data. I'm passionate about data storytelling. So today, what I'm going to be talking to us about is building in public, the power of showing your work. Now, I'm going to give a brief background into my story. I'm going to make this very, very personal, and I'll be using myself as a case study. I started data analytics, so I started my journey into tech in 2022, March 2022 to be precise. And at that point, I didn't even think it was something I'll be able to do. For me, it was because I tried a lot of different things, and I told myself that if I do this thing for 6 months and it's not going to work out, I'll just move to the next best thing. So at that point, I started it. Now I started tech, not owning a laptop, not owning resources. I didn't even have the money to like data resources, or maybe register the money to register for a boot camp and all of that. I didn't have any of those things. But I was very, very, I was privileged to come across Ingressive for Good Data Camp Scholarship. And one thing about that scholarship is if you know Data Camp platform, you can actually code on your phone, right? So I took advantage of that particular opportunity, and I downloaded the Data Camp app on my phone, and I was coding. Now, here's the special thing: I wasn't the only one who got that opportunity. I got that opportunity with over 10,000 people as well. this is not me exaggerating, maybe even more than 10,000 people in the Telegram group, because we had a community, right? I got that particular scholarship with that number of people. But what I was doing, what made me different from the others was the fact that with every statement of accomplishment I got from Data Camp, I would come online, post it, and write a story or write all the things I learned in that particular course. So when I get a statement, the first thing I started with was like this Python course, data science with Python. When I finished the introduction to Python, I came online and I wrote a story. Prior to that, I wasn't aware of Twitter. I didn't know how to use Twitter. I'd opened a Twitter account far back as 2015, but I did not know how that platform worked. But because of the whole me pivoting into this career path, I picked up that account and I started tweeting about my progress. I started tweeting. I think the first tweet I made was even announcing to people that I'm starting a career in tech, or I want to pursue a career in data science, and I would like to see how this goes. Now that will bring me to the to cut the long story short, I was always sharing my story, and along the line, as I was learning and also building projects and sharing it online, so I was able to land my first role online. Like the company reached out to me on Twitter, sent me a DM. Oh, I saw your project. It looks similar to what we are building in my company. I'd like to bring you on board. And that was just it. And it was not just one company. I did interviews with a couple of others, right? Aside from the many freelance opportunities I also got from just sharing my projects. Another good thing that happened was that somebody was able to add also, like, there was this laptop this thing, like, if you want a laptop, comment, tell us why you want this laptop, and I'd also commented on that thread, and I was able to get a laptop, same online, right? Just by sharing my journey online and building in public and showing my progress online. Now, this leads me to what building in public is. What exactly is building in public? What exactly does it mean when we say show your work? Building in public just means sharing your work, your progress, your processes with a larger audience. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be just on Twitter. It can be on Instagram. It can be on LinkedIn. It can be on Medium. It can be on GitHub, wherever platform you are most comfortable with. For me, the two places I always totally recommend with the highest returns are your Twitter, your LinkedIn, and probably write an article on Medium, right? These are the places, these are like my go-to places when it comes to building in public. And it is very, very critical and very important at this age and time of social media, because take if you go fast forward back in time when the old tech thing there was still tech rave and everything, but it was majorly about people going for events, user groups, and all of that. But right now, the world is more social media driven, in the sense that you come online, people are already like, in fact, everything about what we are doing, mostly you're building a product, you want to tell people that come and patronize this product, right? So you need to actually at this age and time, it's very important that you harness and you start building in public. There are a lot of reasons why you should build in public, and one of them is networking. It's very, very important. I don't know Faith outside of social media. I got to know Faith on social media. She reached out to me on social media. If I wasn't building in public, or if she did not have that brand on there, I wouldn't have known who she is, right? That was how I was able to network with her. I've been able to grow my network just like that. And you get to grow relationships with like-minded people. There are people on the same journey as you. When you are sharing your story and people can relate with you, that you're a data analyst or you're a data scientist, and you're sharing your progress, it's very easy for them to connect with you. That is another benefit of building in public. Another thing is you stay at the forefront of your target audience mind. Who are your target audience? You have to think about it. Who am I? Why am I building in public? Why am I actually doing this, right? Who is your target audience? Probably it's just because you want to build a community of like-minded individuals. So you want to be tweeting about data analytics. Obviously, you will get to gather such people. Or if you want recruiters to actually notice you, that is another thing, right? Another thing, another benefit of building in public, just like I mentioned, earlier on, how I was able to get my job on Twitter is you get to get jobs and opportunities online. Every of the opportunity I have, most of the opportunity, I'm going to tell you that if I have 100 opportunity, 95 out of those opportunities were from recommendations, and these recommendations not from my family, not from my cousin, not from any, maybe call it's from people I met online. People I met online. That is the power of building in. So most times you would see you get those opportunities when people can actually, because by the time I go to your timeline and I'm looking at your timeline, I can clearly tell that, oh, okay, this person is a data analyst, this person can do this. Or you build a project and you share that project, somebody is looking at your project, maybe you are doing something that concerns solving marketing issues, right? And I have a marketing agency and I'm trying to solve that particular problem. If I see that project online, I'm like, oh, this person will be able to solve this problem for me. I'm reaching out to you immediately, right? That is something that would happen when you are actually building in public. Now, one of the major challenge that people face when it comes to building in public is they don't know how to go about it. For me, when I started building in public, my own reason was for me to educate myself again. I just wanted to tell myself that, okay, you know this, kind of like explaining it back to people, right? That was it for me as at that point in time. Now, there are certain ways you can go about building in public, and one of those, I'm going to be sharing a couple of them that have actually helped me. One I would like to call, or I would say maybe business people or entrepreneurs or startups, they call the idea to launch process trade. Now, when I mean thread, like I mean article or write up or anything. Now, the idea to launch process thread is more about, like, you want to start something, right? You want to share that journey. Using the example I gave when I said, okay, when I wanted to start my career in data science, I came online and I tweeted, oh, I'm starting a career in data science, or in the next 6 months, I'm going to be pursuing a career in data science. That is an idea to learn process trade. I started it with putting that thought out there that this is what I want to do. That is an example of building in public. Over the months, over the years, I kept on updating that particular progress, right? I'm taking you through that particular journey. There's another one called monthly roundup. Kind of, you've achieved a couple of what people call online like dumps, monthly dumps, like, right? But now, in the sense of you career wise, monthly roundup thread is you saying that, okay, these are the things I achieved. You set out a couple of goals in probably months, and you accomplish some of those goals. Oh, this particular month, this is my update for this month. I learned this course, or I accomplished this certificate, or I completed this. That is an monthly roundup thread. Another one that's very useful when it comes to building, probably you learned something new, right? And you want to share that with your audience. You might just come, like, you just learned something new. It might be exciting. You just say, oh, here's how to do this and this. You might think it won't help anybody, but trust me, somebody will see that and be like, oh, thank you for sharing this. It's actually very helpful. Oh, and you might even get questions. What this does is people will trust you. People will kind of build some sense of trust. Now, this particular one is very, very dicey, right? If you're not sure of it, don't come and talk about it. That's the downside of this. Another one that I like very much when it comes to building in public is accountability thread. Now, accountability thread is you just trying to put yourself out there that, oh, it's also similar to the idea to launch process, where you're saying, okay, this month I'm trying to do this and this, or this year I'm trying to maybe write this exam, do this and this. That is your accountability. That is your accountability thread. Now, that is that when it comes to, like, examples. Now, for some persons it might be quite challenging, like all these things I'm saying. You might be like, how am I going to write thread? They don't know how to write. Like, what if I go and write, somebody drags me, or this thing. That is actually one of the challenges when it comes to building in public, right? You don't want to put out something that you are scared of people coming to, like, maybe you are scared of criticism. That's the word, right? But one thing I always tell people is that you wouldn't know until you try. And then there's another thing I always say is, what's the worst that could happen, right? Nobody will chase me away from social media. The worst thing that will happen is you will drop that comment, and it's either I learn from it or I don't learn from it. So I think that's like one of the major challenge. And one, when it comes to building in public, it's very important to start small. All these things I've been saying might be very, very large, but here's a trick, or here's a tip, right? I'm doing this class now. Oh, I attended Tina's building in public session today, and I learned this. That is an example of building in public. You've been able to share that experience, that journey. You've led people into that part of the process for you. Oh, this particular month I got accepted into the data mentorship program, and these are the things I've been able to accomplish. This is how, that is like, this is simple, because you can tell, somebody can ask you, if I ask you as a if I ask you a question that, from this particular this thing, what have you been able to achieve? That thing you're telling me, put it into writing and put it on there. Now, the one I always very like, that is very, very, very important is, and I would like to iterate more upon, is projects. When it comes to I think this is like the major part of building in public, especially for us techies, right? It is very important to put your work out there. When you work on a project, please, no matter how, in short, what I always advise people to do is, when you want to start working on a project, put it out there. When you finish the cleaning process, you can start a thread. When you finish the cleaning process, put it out there. Anything you learn new, put it, like, just keep documenting that particular process. Oh, I finally completed the project. Share the particular project. People will be excited because they will be anticipating, oh, this is what this person have been working on for. And it makes the job very easy, especially if you struggle with documentation and everything. It makes the work very, very easy. Another thing I didn't mention when I was talking about benefits, right? I think I didn't mention personal branding. There's something called, like, I think every techie at this point, everybody should have kind of like a personal brand. What are you known for? When they mention your name, what do they think? What comes to mind, right? What comes to mind? You need to think about that and start building um, towards that particular goal. So at this point, I'm going to take a pause, and I'm going to I'm going to allow you ask questions. Do you have challenges when it comes to building in public? What are the, if you have any questions from what I've been saying so far, and if there's anything you would also like me to shed more light on. So if you have any questions, please, now is the time to ask your questions. Sorry, I'm all over the place. But please indulge me. Yes, Emmanuel, please go ahead.
Good morning,
Good
and thanks
morning.
for having me once again. Yes, so my question is, how do you overcome fear syndrome and then cyberbullying?
Okay.
Have you ever experienced cyberbullying, and if you did, how did you overcome it?
Okay, I'm going to use my story as an example. Now, when I was working on projects, the second project I worked on, somebody commented that truly, I had replicated somebody's project, but I still made a couple of changes to it, right? But somebody had commented that, oh, this is just a copycat of somebody else's project, and I felt really bad. Like, I felt, to think I was getting a lot of good feedbacks on the project, like, oh, this is beautiful, and then somebody came and just downplayed every effort, like, and made it look like this is not your work at all. And I felt so bad. I felt so offended, and it made me, in fact, to come online to tweet was, I was a bit shaky. But one thing I did was I learned from that experience, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to work on another project, but this time around, I'm going to make it very original. Like, I put in a lot of effort. It made me put in a lot of effort into the next work that I did. And that was the project. The next one I did was a project that changed my entire career. That is the thing. One thing I always advise people: if you're getting negative criticism under your design, you can choose to, thank God for platforms like Twitter, where you can choose to just mute that particular comment. You can choose to just ignore. Don't let it define you, right? As long as there's still constructive criticism in that particular part that is telling you that okay, this is where you did good, this is where, don't let it define you. Take the learnings from that particular thing, go back, work on yourself, and come and put your best foot forward. Like, prove, I always say, prove them wrong. That is the idea. Yes, you are proving to be a better version of yourself, but don't let that stuff actually define you. Now, when it comes to fears of putting in your work, now let me explain something. At the stage and at the level I am in my career, whenever I want to put out a project or put out a work online, I'm always very scared. Like, in fact, sometimes they are in my drafts for so long, maybe for days, before I now decide, oh, whatever. And I just click on the post button, and then I start getting a lot of good feedback. Always think of the fact that, don't think of the engagements, don't think of the likes, don't think of the followers, don't think of any other thing. Always think of, you want to be better than you were yesterday. That, oh, Tina, you could not do this particular thing yesterday, oh, but you're doing it today. Look at what you are putting forward. That is what I always do. Like, remove what do they call it, this self validation, or any, like, remove public validation from whatever you are doing. It makes it very easy. If you are depending on, I want to post this thing, what will people say? People will say that I don't know anything. People will say I added this. Think of you first. Am I better than yesterday? It will make the whole process easy for you. And one thing about building in public, the more you do it, the more you get used to it. That's something that you need to know. Have I been able to answer your question, Emmanuel?
Yes, please. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other question, please? Okay, Shola, your hand is up. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you. My question is this. I have this problem with building in public, posting, because naturally I'm a very private person, and putting my work out there, I feel like it's not good enough. It's not as good as what it ought to be. So putting my work out there for me is very difficult. And also posting what I learn, it's it seems kind of trivial because it's like this minor thing is what I'm posting. I don't know how do I overcome things like that.
Now, the notion of whatever you want to post is trivia. Take that out of the picture. I tell people, if I were to be starting my journey again as a data analyst, when I learned import pandas as PD, I would have come online to tweet about. In fact, I've gone back to some of my tweets last year, and I'm like, so I tweeted this thing. Now it looks trivial to me, but at that point, I was so excited to talk about it. I was so excited to share that, oh, I'd learned this particular thing. I remember talking about, oh, I learned how to create a notebook on, like, you know what Jupyter notebook is now, when you create a new notebook. I learned that, and I felt like it was something very, very, it was special for me at that point in time because I did not know it yesterday. So please take that notion out for you. That's why I say ignore the fact, ignore other people. It has to be for you first of all. And you know you have a target audience, right? You want to show that clear progress. There's something when you're doing like when you're talking to recruiters and everything, and they do some kind of background check and they can go back and see how you started, like the whole process and everything. It's very, very beautiful. It's something very, very beautiful. So take out that notion of it is very trivial. Now, I get the fact that some people are very private persons, right? Like, I always say something that not everybody can or will build in public. But I always advise people that, see, we're in this social media era that a lot of things, you can accomplish a lot of things that, like, than, as in, more than just like coming online to tweet or like people's posts. Like, you can do a lot, achieve a lot with just being on your this thing. So regardless of the fact that you're a private person, right? What I always advise, if you cannot say a lot, at least your project, you built something beautiful. Oh, I worked on this particular project. I don't know how hard it is because I'm not going to, I'm not, I can't speak from your own perspective, right? How difficult is it? But I'm like, it shouldn't be that hard to just say, oh, I worked on this project. This is my project, right? Because if you're in an interview, for example, you can talk about your project. Right? So see it as you telling an interview, like you're advertising yourself. I always like to make reference to Instagram vendors. I don't know if you know people that sell markets. like sell maybe clothes, shoes online. I don't know if you've watched how those people like markets, like you see people come online every day on Instagram to shout, if you don't buy this clothes is carry your own tech market like that. I know how to use Python. This is how to use Python. This is how to use Power BI. This be very loud and be very vocal about it. Because if those people cannot be ashamed to come online to come and tell you that, oh, you have to buy this product, you have to, and you are tempted to want to send, and let me even buy it out. Let me check it out. So I think as a techie, you should. We I know they say techies are introverts, but this is actually we're in a period where it is very, very important that it should be our lifestyle, building in public, showing our work, talking about our experience. It's a very, 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 very important thing. I don't know if I answered your question, Shola. If you're speaking, you're muted.
Yes, please.
Any other question from anybody? Okay, I see Supreme Ant. Okay, I think he raised down his hand. Any other question? Okay, Supreme, please go ahead.
Good morning. Yeah, I want to ask. You said you did a lot, 2 or 3 projects. So, assuming someone from a boot camp, the final project that he or she does, can it be counted as a project too?
Yes, whatever project you do, trying to maybe analyze data or solve a business problem is counted as a project. So whether it's from a boot camp or it's from a training, that is also project. As long as you worked on that project, you know how the even when there's some people when you go through their portfolio, most of the projects they are replicated projects. As long as you can or you understand that project, you know the purpose of that project, you know the problem that was being solved in that project, and you can explain it to any recruiter, that is a project that counts as a project for your portfolio. Does that
Okay,
answer your
thank you.
question? All
Yeah,
right.
thank you.
All right, any other question? Any other question from anybody? Emmanuel, please go ahead.
Yes, there's a word that I'm looking for, but yes, I've gotten it. Something about imposter syndrome. Um, what's your thoughts on it?
Okay, so one thing I want everybody to know is that I don't think there's anybody that doesn't experience imposter syndrome. And the very first step to overcoming imposter syndrome is you telling yourself that this is imposter syndrome. And for me, what I've helped whenever I get a new task, whenever I get like even at work where I'm already working, if you give me a new task or you say, oh, there's a new project that we need to embark on, I start shaking. I'm always scared. I'm always like I have anxiety because I don't know if like, in my head what I'm thinking about is these people will soon discover that I'm a fraud, that I don't know anything, and I just rigmaroled my way into this place, and that's what I'm always thinking. Whenever I get a new gig, a new task, a new project, I'm always having that particular thought. So, but for me, the very first step to overcoming that is this thing is all in your head. Imposter syndrome is just this feeling of self-doubt, right? That you are not worthy enough, you are not capable of this thing. That is imposter syndrome. So when you tell yourself that you are actually like, sometimes you cannot even tell yourself, let me not even try to make it look this, because I know I cannot tell myself. What helps me most time is me talking to people. That's why it's very important not to go on this journey alone. I'm glad you have a very beautiful community here, by the way. So don't do it by yourself. Like, try to connect with each other. When you're having this kind of doubt, oh, speak to somebody. I have this opportunity, or they're telling me to do this thing. Those person will tell you that, don't worry, you will kill it. It's all in your head. And it will give you some level of confidence boost that like you didn't think that you had. So one thing about imposter syndrome is you just knowing that you have imposter syndrome first, and know that everybody experience imposter syndrome. But one thing to overcoming it is find somebody to talk to. I always tell people, recommend your, see, no matter how little you think your progress is, just like how we're talking about like course and you say it's trivial. If you think like nothing is trivial, document your progress. If you document it, when you're feeling it, like when you're having imposter syndrome, by the time you look at it, you'll be like, ah, I achieved this thing. That means I'm worthy. Is it not me again? I did this particular thing. That means I can actually do this other one. So if you can look back at those past experiences, it will give you the confidence and the boost that you need to do another one. But for imposter syndrome, it would come. Like it would come. I don't know if there's a way to kill it entirely, but I know that is something that everybody, especially in tech, you will likely experience. But the best way is to talking to somebody and also telling yourself again that you are actually worthy. I don't know if this helps in any way.
Yes, thank you very much. I think Onika wants to ask a question.
Okay.
I had the last question, so maybe when she's done.
All right, please go ahead.
Okay, my own is not a question. I just wanted to speak on the whole imposter syndrome thing. Um, I don't think there's no one that doesn't experience imposter syndrome. No matter how long you spend in this career, you will still have that moment of, what am I doing? Hope I'm not lying to these people. Hope I'm not deceiving these people. I remember my last cohort. One thing I struggled with was, I don't want to teach people rubbish. They're not going to post and tag me. They're not say I'm the one that taught them that. So I was really scared throughout. I was really scared throughout the whole this. But one thing I always do is that I will, if I feel like what I'm about to say is wrong, I always say, please hold on, let me go and validate my thoughts. You get, and then I also told myself that if I'm going to be doing any form of cohort or anything again. I was going to bring other expertise. So I feel having other people that are in the same field with you, around you, that can also help to validate your thoughts, can also encourage you. They also share their own fears, their own insecurities. So see, as you're not alone. That's something that I've enjoyed in my own career. So I agree with what Tina said. You just, one, you're around people. This community is always going to be there by God's grace. So even when we may not be teaching as far, maybe we're already done with your curriculum, you still have these people around you that you can say, see, I'm about to share this thing, but I feel like something is wrong here. Can you help me look at it? You can even send it to me. I've just finished correcting someone's code. So share it with other people if you feel like something about, but don't let it not be strong enough to stop you from putting yourself out there. You get, let not be powerful enough. So if you want to say something like you're having this thought of, I'm not sure about it, send it to me. Send it to any of the guest mentors I've mentioned here if the field relates to them. Let them share their thoughts with you, you get. And I feel like if you have someone else validating your thought, even if what you said actually was correct, just having them saying, oh yes, it's good, go ahead, it will give you that sense of confidence, you get.
Thank you for reiterating on that. I know you had another question, Emmanuel. Do you want to ask now?
I think she has touched on it. I wanted to add something in respect to probably how you are you are going to get your first job when you get it, how you start and everything. Probably, can you share your experience with us?
Okay. So mine was a bit dicey, right? Because I was the first data person on the team. It's a startup, and I was like the first data person on the team. And something that they wanted me to do was okay, what I do at my place of work. Let me start from what I do at my place of work. I actually scrape data, analyze this data and extract sentiments from them, right? When I mean sentiments, there are certain keywords that we track. I might not be able to go deep in depth for privacy this thing purposes, but there are certain keywords that we track and we get to know like, okay, how many times they appear online, and then we do like a point-based system and start scoring users or people that enter our contest. I work for a company that, if you know fantasy football and everything, that is my company. Well, that's what we do. We also have like a reality TV show contest that we do as well. I'm more focused on the reality TV show, even though sometimes I still work on the fantasy side of things. So when I started, it was there was nobody to ask questions. Like I had to figure out a lot of things, and there were a couple of new tools I needed to learn. I didn't know how to use Asana before. In fact, that was the very first time I heard about Asana. It's a project management tool. I had to learn how to work with that, right? There's this one called Redash. It's actually a database and also a visualization tool. I've never heard of it before. I had to learn that as well, like on, and I had to start getting familiar with the database. One thing when you get a new job is you have that freedom of probably the first 2 weeks to 1 month, you are still, everybody's giving you that, like you're moving up and down and trying to figure things out. But because I was the first person, I needed to start thinking of, okay, what exactly am I going to do to turn this organization to a data driven company? What are the problems? What are the challenges that they're actually experiencing here? Because they brought me for a different purposes, but I still want to affect, like turn the organization into like become a data. At the point when I joined the organization, it wasn't data driven, but now I can assure you for a fact that the company is data driven. So what did I need to do? I started looking at our database. I started looking at, like, trying to figure out some particular thing. We're experiencing a lot of churn at that period. I had to solve that problem. So when you join an organization, trust me, it's not going to be easy. It wasn't really easy for me at that point in time, because and I'm somebody that I don't know how to, that's the problem I had. And that's why I'm always very quick and open to help people, because asking questions is my, I don't know how to ask questions, because I take it that I'm disturbing this person. I don't want to disturb this, but I don't know how to, and it's a very bad thing, especially if you're in this field. You need to know how to ask questions, and by asking questions, not any kind of question, there are questions you can go online and Google, you get the answer. You need to know how to ask the right questions. Sometimes you are telling somebody something, but there's no ask in that particular thing you are telling the person. So I didn't know how to ask questions then, so I spent a lot of time figuring those things out. I would do a lot of research and every, but one thing you just need to know is that once you have a set of problems that you intend to solve for that part, what is the value you want to bring for that organization? What, probably they brought you in for a reason, and you want to work with that particular laid down set of reasons, because they will give you your job description that this is what you need to do. But if you are somebody that is extra like me, you might want to go way and beyond to try to figure out, okay, what are the ways I can add value to this organization? What are the problems they are experiencing? You want to speak to different departments, the marketing department, product department, engineering, like what are your pain points? And from those particular things, those questions you're asking, you're already thinking of, okay, these are the problems that they need to solve. You are thinking of, okay, this is the data I will need to solve this particular problem. This is how I will need to analyze this data, and this is the solution, this is the recommendation. Just like that, you just have to start from a problem. That's just the thing. What is the objective? What do you need to do? So if you follow this kind of way, I'm very sure that it will be very seamless for you. But one thing you know, if you're landing your first role, you still have that 2 weeks, depending on the organization anyways. You still have that 2 weeks to 1 month that you use to familiarize yourself with the entire environment. So for me, that those are the things, or these were the things that actually really helped me grow fast. So I don't know if it helps in any way.
Yeah, thank you very much. I
You're welcome,
appreciate
Emmanuel.
it.
You're welcome. Any other question before I pass the baton on to Faith? Any other question? Okay, Shola, please go ahead.
One last question. Is there any specific tip you can give someone like me who is in the South and trying to position himself for remote jobs or freelancing jobs, not really a physical job in Lagos?
Okay. This is where thank God what we're talking about is actually building in public. Let me know. I'm not going to lie to you, right? You see, as a begin as an entry level professional. Sorry, I think not my internet actually. My laptop just ran into an issue. So please apologize. I was trying to answer the question. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Okay. So when it comes to landing a remote job as an entry level data professional or tech professional, they sold us a lie. Let me just be honest to you. They sold us a lie that, oh, when you finish this thing, you will land a remote job. There's the 1% or 2% out of the 100% that are very lucky. And I count myself as one of those lucky people, right? For me, the company I work with, they're actually located in the US, and it was a remote opportunity, and they reached out to me, and it was, I don't want to say I put in the work, right, but it was that luck too. If you are actually that's why I'm always shouting this build in public. If you are in the south, I know there are not a lot of, like, when it comes to tech events and all of that, I'll say, okay, you can go to tech events, network with people, you might likely meet somebody that would refer you for something like that. But I don't want you to focus on the fact that you would land, or you'll be able to see a remote job. Don't cancel any opportunity out. And you might think, depending on what field you're in, I don't know if you're a data scientist or a data analyst, or which one it is, but I don't want you to be focused on that. Okay, it's only in Lagos, that Lagos is the tech hub, so it's only in Lagos you can get a job. There, in that particular place, there might be organizations that are actually looking for, that are collecting data, but don't know how to use data to solve problems. So something I can advise you to do is start looking for those particular organizations in that part, in your area or in your vicinity. Start looking for those particular organizations. If there are organizations that probably have a LinkedIn account or this thing, you might want to start reaching out to doing all this cold emailing, right? I think there's somebody online that has a very great thread on how to start shooting your shots when it comes to looking for opportunities and everything. Another thing you can do is this is also putting yourself out there, is to do like just put yourself out there. Say it's that you're looking for, even if you want to act as a support for somebody, like maybe when they are getting little tasks, they can give it to you to do. You just want to use it to learn and also improve yourself. Because for you to land a remote opportunity, to be very honest, most times you will need that experience already. Like, they will have to know that, oh, you're already experienced, you can do this thing. But one thing, the one that I know that is the hybrid opportunities. You likely see hybrid opportunity, but remote, I can't tell you for a fact that if you do this and this, you get a remote opportunity. It's very, very rare. It's actually very rare. And now businesses are coming back to like physical. It's not when we're seeing that virtual phase. So it might be one thing I just want to advise you to do is try looking for organizations, shoot your shots, and also put yourself out there. I think this might actually help. Streamline it. Create that list, and in a day you send out applications to maybe 5 people, or you send out messages to 10 people that you have already written down. This might actually help.
Thank you so
I hope this
much.
helps. Okay. I think Okpe raised their hand. I have Faith, please be checking the time so you know when I'm over my time. Okpe,
Yeah,
please ask your
still
question.
have,
Yeah, good morning.
Good
yeah.
morning.
Yeah. My question is, what is or are the difference between the normal data that you work with or and the domain data we use to, like all these cargo data or and so on. So is there any much difference between them?
I'll be very honest with you. Do you know the difference? The difference is that the data, like, I work with in my company, affects somebody, right? That is the difference. that data you are seeing online, like that you are seeing, that is, maybe you see one marketing data or probably sales data that has maybe name, somebody bought products, somebody, the difference between, okay, like for me now, let me use my company's data. We have like a user data, right? Like we collect people sign up on our platform, we collect user information and all those things. That is similar to passing some data you will still see online where somebody bought products. Like there's a customer database, there's products database, there's maybe employee database and all of that, right? Then what the only difference now is this: what are you using that data to do? For me, I'm using the data to solve problem. Maybe I want to solve the problem, like just the example I used, I'm solving the problem of churn that we are experiencing in my organization, right? I've been able to analyze this data, look at where the fault is or look at where the problem is, and tell key stakeholders, the CEOs and managers, that okay, this is what we should do. Tell marketing departments that I think these are the kind of marketing campaigns you should run based on the marketing campaign or the analysis of the marketing campaigns. I'm just at the end goal is that I'm solving that problem and I'm telling them and I'm giving them recommendations. For the data you will do online, is you are just doing it based on, I'm testing out, right? You analyze that data and maybe you might even write recommend. Some people will just end up building dashboard. Some people will even put recommendations, right? Now, picture that particular report that you've done. Picture it's been applied to an organization. That's why I tell people that work on problem-solving projects, because somebody might be in a company and they are experiencing that problem and you've just provided the solution. They will just call you, please come and replicate this thing in my organization. As simple as that. So it's not, there's no much difference when you're, probably maybe when you're working on hobby kind of projects, like you're maybe you're analyzing past trophies of a particular football club, or you're checking for like there are several other like hobbies projects that are like you trying to analyze an hobby or something like that. So but there's no much difference. The difference is that for your real life project, which is like the one you do in a company, it's either make or ma the business. That is it. So take projects very important. Have I been able to answer your question, Okwe?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other question? Need I mention something just to buttress on what I spoke earlier on? Another thing that might be different from the cargo data set is that for an organization, obviously, the data is larger. Then you might have up to like maybe more than 500 tables that you're working with, different data, like different data different tables, right, that contains different information. One particularly your fact table might even contain like billions of rows of data. That is like I think volume is the difference between that data you have in the database and the data in real world. So volume will be another major difference. If there's no other question, I would like to hand over to Faith now. Faith, you can take it off from here. Thank you guys so much for having me. If you have any questions, please, you can tweet at me. I'll probably share my Twitter handle in the chat box. So please feel free to tweet at me, ask your questions. I'm very, very accommodating. Let me use that word. But you have to be patient with me too, because I might take I have a backlog of things. I take a while to reply. But yeah, you can ask your questions. If you can't do that here.